Scripture today is one of my favorites. I expect many people knew. It's one of your favorites also. I'll try to get what it's comes from the book of Luke, Gospel of Luke, verses 11 through 31, verses 11 through 31. Have the Bible with you. You can follow along, read with me. I'm trying to get my spectacles out here. Last time I got the verses in different order because I didn't have my glasses on. Okay, starting with Luke 15, verse 11. He also said, a man had two sons. The younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the share of the estate I have coming to me. So he distributed the assets to them. Not many days later, the younger son gathered together all he had and traveled to a distant country, where he squandered his estate in foolish living. After he had spent everything, a severe famine struck that country, and he had nothing. Then he went to work for one of the citizens of that country, who sent him into the fields to feed the pigs. He longed to eat his fill from the carob pods the pigs were eating, but no one would give him any. When he came to his senses, he said, how many of my father's hired hands have more than enough food? Here I am dying of hunger. I'll get up, go to my father, and say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in your sight. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired hands. So he got up and went to his father. While the son was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion. He ran, threw his arms around his neck, and kissed him. The son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in your sight. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father told his slaves, quick, bring out the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Then bring the fattened calf and slaughter it, and let's celebrate with a feast, because this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. So they begin to celebrate. Now the older son was in the field as he came near the house. He heard music and dancing. So he summoned one of the servants and asked what these things meant. Your brother is here, he told him, and your father has slaughtered the fattened calf because he has him back safe and sound. Then he became angry and didn't want to go in. So his father came out and pleaded with him. But he replied to his father, look, I have been slaving many years for you, and I have never disobeyed your orders. And you never gave me a young goat so I could celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came, who has devoured your assets with prostitutes, you slaughtered the fattened calf for him. Son, he said to him, you are already always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and rejoice because this father of yours, this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. God for this.
So today's homecoming. I don't know if you've ever gone back somewhere you used to live. You know, somebody's doing it today. I went to high school and part of elementary school in Dover, Delaware. And when I got my my doctorate degree, we went to graduation in New Jersey, and we were close enough. My son had heard stories of what happened in Delaware, and so he wanted to see things. And so I went back to Delaware with my son, and it was not the same. Not only were there's basically no one there that I knew. I just want y'all to know they tore down McGinnis Market. I thank you for the symphony, because that's where you got the best sub in Dover, Delaware, and you can no longer get the best sub in Delaware. And I was like, what do people do living here if you can't get a sub at McGinnis Market with that red pepper sauce that they were? Whew, I'm sorry, I'm having a moment. I'm glad we have a meal waiting on us in a minute. What I found out was that a lot of things had changed, and I came back home, what was home, and it didn't feel like home at all. It was the same place, but it was not the same home. The reason was the relationships that made it home weren't there. Some of the structures weren't there. Some of the structures were. That's why I want you to know something. Everybody you know, and as well as you can know yourself, you want me. Everybody wants to know that the one and the ones who gave you life, the one and the ones who tell you who you are, give you life and tell you who you are, full of love. We all get distracted. We all grow up in homes that are of various degrees of feeling like home and feeling like a place where you have to earn some sense of belonging. We're all longing for the unconditional love this story tells us about. It points to our greatest longing. And I think we need to make it sacred and just pause and sit. You'll be glad to know I'm not going to make this sermon as long as usual, since I knew I'd be starting later. You're welcome. And we don't have to go long for lunch. Even though we all grew up in homes that were to one degree good and one degree not so good, one degree affirmed our life and to another degree and in other ways did not. Even though we all grew up with our own little sense of insecurities, even though we all had our own experiences, we all grew up, in fact, as the children of God. We all grew up, in fact, as the ones made in the likeness and image of God. We all grew up, in fact, loved by God. God so loved the world first. That was the fact, that it was expressed in sending his son. Not sending his son so he could love us, sending his son because he loved us. Every time you see a revelation of God in the world, in a sunrise or a sunset, in the taste of a tomato, when we're past tomato season, it's bugging me, because tomatoes don't taste right starting now till later next year. When the moment you taste it and you go, that's it. This is what I needed. It comes from the hand of the God who has decided to make creation. And when we cooperate with the love of the God who loves us, this creation works. There is enough for all 8 billion of God's children on earth when the 8 billion decide to listen. This story tells us the truth. Some of us are going to squander what we've got on ourselves. We're going to wake up having squandered it. And creation will be going through the trials of childbirth, as Paul puts it. And we'll be in turmoil in all of creation, and there'll be wars and rumors of wars, just like Jesus said. And all of us children who take what we've got and say, this is my part, and we spend it however we please, we'll find out that it will not work. And we'll end up individually and collectively announcing, if we would just become slaves, maybe we could get some religion who would tell us all the rights and all the wrongs, and we could just be dominated by this God. So I'm going to go to God, and I'm going to say, give me a religion that tells me all the yeses and all the nos and dominates us, and just let me be a servant of a God who wants to order everybody around and make them slaves. And you will not find a God, in fact, that does that. Have y'all noticed you get to decide things? Have you noticed that sometimes before you talk, you think, and it turns out different than it would have if you hadn't thought first? Have you noticed that? Have you noticed that if you pause and decide to love the people you're talking to before you talk, you say things differently and do things differently? Well, I don't know why that son left. I wasn't in his head, and I think it was a story Jesus created to make his point that every one of us, daughters and sons, will decide in one way or another to leave home and take what is ours and do what we will. And we'll wake up with what you get when you do that. We are waking up right now in a world where we are admiring people who dominate and use power and manipulate to get in charge. And we're all suffering. We don't put the prodigals in charge. We invite them. Come home. Let's learn to love each other. But then you have those of us, I don't know about y'all, but I made my commitment to Christ when I was 14. And there have been very few Sundays I haven't been in church. I'm weird. I go to church when I'm on vacation because I like meeting different kinds of Christians. You know, my boys like go on vacation with their family and they're starting to go to church. Like, why are we going to church? We're on vacation. So on vacation, you don't go to the place that's your highest identity, the place and the people who hold my identity. I am Christian. And when I'm on vacation, I take a break or I go in fellowship. If we needed each other, we would be in fellowship. But that's not, I'm not even saying that to make you feel guilty at all. Because I just want you to know, when I don't want to go to church on vacation, I don't go. It's not a thing about guilt. What it is who holds our identity? Where do you go home? And I'm telling you that most of us go home to our bank account. Most of us go home hoping that the stock market goes well. Most of us go home because of an employer. And they end up feeding us pig feed. We recognize we're not valued by those people who control us. And we come home. Then the second son is out there and he's always been faithful. I think he was sure there was a deal. Y'all know about religion and the deal? Y'all ever know? There's a deal. You do this, 1, 2, God does this, 3, 4. You do this, 1, 2, God does this, 3, 4. And you're in a dance and you think there's a deal and it's supposed to work out some. Well, then live that long enough. And you're going to watch somebody who's been out going crazy walk into church and have joy you don't have. And everybody's just all excited about this person who's wandered around and done all kinds of stuff, show up, and they're just, I went to the rooms of recovery early on, and when I walked into those rooms, I just kept being shocked over and over again by people who were so joyful, and they were like, 2 weeks sober. And they had so much joy. And then there were people that had been sober a long time and who were very angry, it seemed. And then there were people who had been sober a long time and had lots of joy. And there were people who were new in it and were just gritting their teeth and holding on and white knuckling it, as they say. What happens in true spiritual awakening is that we come home and we know we're at home and everything changes. Father went out to that son who'd been faithful. I think there's awesomeness in being faithful. I would like to say thank you to all who are faithful. Thank you for being faithful. And what I hope, if you're wandering away and taking what's yours and doing what you want, or if you're staying and being faithful, that what we would all do together, those times when I'm faithful, I want to come home. Those times when I'm wandering away, I want to come home. And the reason that we all come home is to find out that the Father will greet us. And I love the Greek that says when he hugged him and kissed him, it's vociferous. It's just extra love. It's like he was hugging him and kissing and hugging him and kissing. Y'all ever been like that? You've been to the airport and you can tell who hasn't seen each other the longest? There's the guy coming back from the business trip and his wife's like, come on, we're late. Come on. It's just, and then the grandchild walks around the corner and there's, and it's just, that's the way it is. And the father goes out. The son says, no, I've been faithful. I go out here. You didn't even give me a goat. I'm out here. And the father goes out and begs. The same love that was begging the older son to come in, that couldn't stop hugging and kissing the younger. That's the way it works. So, when the father loves 2 sons, and when the father loves 8 billion sons and daughters, everything can work. What you do is, after you get done doing your own thing and squandering it like you want, the way it works, according to the spirituality of Jesus, as I understand it, is you finally decide to come home and you think you're just going to be ordered around and enter some religious deal with God, and you're going to do 1, 2, and God will do 3, 4, and you better just submit and do what you're told. And you're going to wake up with a party, and then you're going to find your place in the work and do the work. Or you're going to be faithful, and then you're going to get frustrated that it doesn't go as well for you as you thought it would go well for you if you were faithful. And then God's going to come to you in your prayer life, and it's going to say, come on, it's all yours. You're in it with all of us. We're all in it together. We are always with God. We are always loved by God. And the question we have to answer is, will we go home? And here we are. I just want you to know that I think that's great news. And I don't care if you've been wandering away and are back again. I don't care if you've been faithful and are frustrated and tired. What I think today is a day to say, let's take a big deep breath together. I don't think you'll do it with me. What about one place where there's nothing left? Brand new, fresh. Thought you would be shamed. Thought you would be asked to submit to some hard-nosed religion. Today is the day you get your robe. Go in there. And I hope you like my baked ziti. The announcement is, as we share this meal, everybody's in love with each other here. If we weren't 3 hours ago, we have decided to be now. And then those of you who are faithful and who may have been finding the experience of being faithful that it's not paying off the way you thought it would pay off, I would like to tell you this. Come on in there. And we made these bar cookies. And they're yours too. Everything is yours and everything is ours, and we are in it together. I believe the Father loved both sons of you. And I think when we come home, we know God loves us. And Jesus is hanging on the cross going, even if you do this that you're doing to me, because the prodigal was right. I sinned against God and against heaven. I've sinned against everybody when I took my stuff and did what I wanted and did not act in harmony with everyone else's goodness and the common good. When I did it, I was wrong. He sits there with that, and we sit with our understanding of our own sin. And Jesus is hanging on the cross and going, I just want to tell you something. Do all of this. Do everything you can to me, no matter what you do. Are you listening? He doesn't stay on the cross, does he? He raises from the dead and he sends his spirit. And in his spirit, we say today, thank you, Lord, for being with us, living in us, making us a family, giving us love for ourselves, for our neighbors, for all of our brothers and sisters around the world. This world can work. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. He didn't give us that prayer to mock us. He gave us that prayer to call us what needs to be done. Lord, I thank you for your love and for all that you are doing to show us your love. Forgive me and everyone here when we wander away. Thank you for the welcome when we come back home. And encourage us as we're faithful. Again, with me and everyone here, when we're faithful, help us to not make it a deal. Help us to recognize your love and provision, and that we have this complete joy and this ability to participate in the way your love is expressed in the fellowship of this church, in our homes, in our community, and in our world. And on this day, beginning with us here, may we, your people, called by your name, seek you and find you. When we found you, may you heal our land. In Jesus' name, amen.